anime is filled to the brim with moments where characters display their power, and it looks like we haven't found an end to these epic moments. So welcome to part 3, where we'll be listing 20 more legendary showcases of power in anime, starting with Yuno unleashing the Spirit Dive. During the Royal Knight's selection exam, Yuno confronts Rill, the captain of the Aqua Deer. As Rill consistently counters Yuno's attacks, Yuno chooses to unleash his ultimate spell, Spirit Assimilation Spirit Dive, considering Rill is a worthy opponent. This form allows him to harness and blend the magic of his wind spirit Sylph with his own. The battle where Yuno lost his 5 senses caused his concentration levels to heighten to their peak. That, coupled with his excessive experience in controlling mana and the training he underwent to use mana skin as protection, made Yuno even more badass. As a result, he gained control over the surplus mana within him, refining it to achieve this spectacular form. It looked awesome when he showed off his power, as the transformation sequence had a green aura surrounding him. Everyone all over could feel how strong the magic coming from him was, and even Rill became super riled up. The clash of power right after was so immense that Yuno ended up defeating the captain, which isn't an easy feat considering that the captains are also monsters. Now, without question, the most well-known anime character worldwide is Son Goku. So it would only be fair to bless him with one of the hypest transformations in the series, and that's saying a lot for a series like Dragon Ball, which is filled to the brim with awesome transformations. Our entry focuses on Goku's ascension to Ultra Instinct in the Tournament of Power arc in the face of Universe 1. While fighting the powerhouse Jiren, hope starts to fade away for our heroes until Goku achieves one of the strongest transformations in the series. Ultra Instinct, as the name applies, grants Goku with almost untraceable fluid movements and an aura of confidence where his movements are as if on instinct. This finally allows him to land a blow on Jiren, showing all the spectators that there may still be hope for Universe 7 after all. This transformation focuses more on tranquility and calmness as opposed to his more rage-filled Super Saiyan forms. Even in its unperfected form, Goku becomes such a powerhouse that it forces even Jiren to finally take the fight seriously, resulting in an epic showdown where, in a long time, Dragon Ball fans may have had adrenaline rushing through their veins once again. But wait, before continuing our video, have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in a fantasy anime with all sorts of mythical creatures, especially dragons? Well, don't worry, because let me present to you our sponsor, Dragon Pow. Dragon Pow is an adventure game that transports you into this vast fantasy world. Together, you and your dragon are the world's last hope. It's also not alone, as you can summon various dragons that can all turn into beautiful waifus, which is great for character development and means you can ride dragon girls who can devour. Each dragon waifu has their own unique abilities and special effects during battles. Take a look at how this dragon named Fafnir transforms into a beautiful dragon maiden, which just looks so anime. There are also other charming dragons like the SSR Lightning Dragon, Shockwing, the Poison Dragon Dis, and the cute Fire Dragon Bale. Dis's ultra skill lets her annihilate all the enemies in her path with her dragon breath, while Fafnir can devour your opponent's attacks and shoot them right back at them. Best thing of all is that Dragon Pow is actually designed for single-handed play, meaning with just one hand, you can play anytime, anywhere, even while watching anime. While playing the game, players will be surprised that you not only get random skill bonuses, but each dragon doesn't only have one skill. You can combine 100+ skills, making your dragons more powerful, and create your own unique skill tree through the roguelike gameplay. So what are you waiting for? Download now using the link in the description, or you could even scan the QR code on the screen so you can get 111 free draws. You can even get 4 dragons for free after clearing stages and participating in beginners events. The game was recently released and it was ranked top on the App Store's free app chart, so make sure to download Dragon Pow now. Swinging onto this list, the next entry is Levi's moment of rage in the Attack on Titan OVA. Levi has been a fan favorite in the Attack on Titan fandom, and it can be argued that he possesses more main character energy than even Eren himself. Well, until the last season, that is. Anyway, this moment puts Levi under the spotlight and forever solidifies his god tier status. The scene starts off with things going horribly wrong for his allies, with all of them being attacked by an abnormal Titan. The scene plays out beautifully with somber music and mutilated body parts scattered all around. Levi, after witnessing all of this, slowly begins to realize that the comrades that he cared so much about are all gone. on. But even though it's sad, the climax was insane. Levi cuts up the Titan with such severity and murderous intent that it sends shivers down our spines. After that brutal massacre and rage-filled incident, it became clear that this man was by far among the most powerful humans around. Next up on the list, we have Mash's display of power against Carpaccio in Mashal. Until this point in the anime, we already know how strong Mash is. He's able to compete with literal wizards with little more than his superhuman muscles. I guess it's like Saitama diving into the world of Harry Potter and absolutely wrecking everyone. But this fight displayed his astonishing power to the fullest. Now, Carpaccio wields the Healing Cane, a wand that gives him the ability to be immune to pain. It basically transfers all the damage inflicted on him to the goddess statue he can summon. You'd think that Mash would go for some complicated strategy to defeat this guy, but he instead goes for his tried and true hit them until it hurts strategy. Mash changes his wand into a tennis racket and uses the statue to play a good old game of wall rally. It's absolutely insane how hard Mash pounds the goddess statue, dishing out so much damage that it's obliterated. Mash's power was absolutely astounding, and it's a good thing that the animation was top tier, so we got to see him with a lot of style. Moving on, let's delve into a fairly recent anime, and a pretty popular one at that, Solo Leveling. This particular moment is Sung Jin-woo's annihilation of his fellow hunters. Now, at first glance, this may sound like a very heartless act by our protagonist, but a bit of background here is going to clear things up, okay? Sung Jin-woo enters a C-rank dungeon raid, still keeping up the facade of being the weakest grunt around to not attract unwanted attention. This leads to him and Jin-ho being betrayed by Dong-suk and his fellow party members, first using them as bait for the dungeon boss, and when that didn't pan out, ambushing Jin-woo to cover their tracks. What follows is a showcase of pure, ruthless power by Jin-woo, aided by the ultimatum set by the system of kill or be killed. We see him unapologetically massacring his fellow hunters, showing us just how far he's come from being the weakest hunter to one who's dead set on his goal for power. The animation during this entire scene is absolutely gorgeous, and all of our protagonist's movements are perfectly put on display.
This is gonna come from
A hero is only as good as his villain, and that was surely the case for the introduction of All for One in My Hero Academia. During the story, All for One was a villain who was built up slowly as being an absolute powerhouse. He not only causes significant pain to All Might, who we might view as unmatchable at this point, but rather the mention of his name is enough to cause fear in so many people. All this build-up paid off tenfold with our introduction to him. From his insane ability to steal any quirk, he desires to solo the entire team of heroes. He effortlessly wreaked havoc and even put down Best Genius, the number 3 ranked hero, in a cruel, one-sided massacre. His showcasing of multiple quirks, summoning multiple Nomus, and just toying with the heroes gives him such an intimidating aura that we lose hope nearly instantly. It shows us that not only is he methodical in his planning, but he can back it up too with brute strength, which is the perfect show of power for this antagonist that would ultimately reshape the entirety of MHA. The next showcase of power we have on this list comes from Escanor as he takes down Garland in the 7 Deadly Sins.
Game overです。
When we were introduced to this guy, he looked like a meek, middle-aged man. Escanor's opponent was Garland, an elite warrior of the Demon Clan who wielded the commandment of truth. This villain looked the exact opposite of Escanor, as you could see how intimidating and powerful he was at first glance. Garland ends up playing a game with Escanor, only to have Escanor knocked unconscious from Garland's light tap on the shoulder. With Escanor unconscious, Garland drinks away before checking out the battle axe Escanor has on the wall. Escanor wakes up right as Garland has a hard time holding the axe and casually just just picks it up. But when he woke up, it was an entirely different story. The level of power Escanor displayed was on a whole other level here, giving weight to his claim of being at the pinnacle of all races. It was just amazing to see this, because in this part of the story, we never even knew that he could be that strong to the point that a commandment was just no match for him. The animation and music just paired up with it perfectly, and we couldn't have asked for anything more.
これがあなたの本気ですか?
Coming back to the series-defining villains, our next entry gives the spotlight to the Michael Jackson lookalike Muzan from Demon Slayer. Now, jokes aside, okay, Muzan's ruthlessness was on full display after Rui, the Lower Moon 5, was killed. Muzan was so frustrated with the Lower Moon's bad habit of dying to Demon Slayers that he decided to kill all of them except for one immediately. Muzan doesn't forgive weakness and doesn't allow his subordinates to give out information to the enemy. The cinematography and music play into just how scary and unforgiving he can be, and the sheer amount of power he wields, being able to effortlessly wipe out the demons our heroes have put their lives on the line to fight. It does leave us completely blindsided, as not only is it unexpected, but it's cruel to the point where even fans didn't think he could be so merciless and evil. Since we're on the topic of powerful demons, here's another in the form of Alucard from Hellsing Ultimate. There may be a lot of dudes in anime who can survive plane crashes, but this moment showed off how insanely powerful Alucard really is. Being a vampire, fans of the series already know that Alucard has some insane regeneration abilities and endurance, since he easily takes bullets in the face with no damage. You'd think that something like a plane would be enough to at least slightly damage this guy, but no, Alucard would prove you wrong. To reach Rip Van Winkle, who'd hijacked a massive aircraft carrier, Alucard used the SR-71 Blackbird, an exceptionally fast plane known to fly at speeds approaching Mach 3. Alucard used that jet as a battering ram, crashing it straight into the aircraft carrier and causing an insane level of destruction, and he walked out of that completely unscathed. This badass entrance was enough to solidify Alucard as an unkillable bringer of death and destruction, clearly making him out to be one of the most powerful beings around. Next we have Magellan going toe-to-toe against the Blackbeard pirates in One Piece. Currently, fans of One Piece know Blackbeard is an Emperor of the Sea, a title given to the strongest captains around. As such, his crew has also proven to be spectacularly strong, posing a major threat to the Straw Hats and are even rumoured to be their final enemies. But if we rewind time a bit, we'll remember one opponent they faced was in a league of his own. This opponent was Magellan, the then Chief Warden of Impel Down. Magellan faced off against Blackbeard and his new crew of criminals for mere moments, and it was enough to almost kill every single one of them. Using his Hydra, Magellan instantly poisoned the entire crew, casually walking away as they fell down behind him. It was an extremely short confrontation against some pretty powerful foes. The length of the fight clearly shows that Magellan was exceptionally powerful, since he was able to take down such renowned criminals so quickly. I mean, it just goes to show that Impel Down was considered inescapable for a reason. Next up, we have Junichiro Tanizaki's moment from Bungo Stray Dogs. After letting himself get captured by the Black Lizard, Tanizaki is bound and threatened by the commanders Hirotsu, Gin, and Tachihara. Hirotsu tells him that they want him to be a double agent, and then makes the mistake of threatening him through his younger sister, saying that Gin would make short work of her. Hearing them threaten Naomi causes Tanizaki to snap, and that was their last mistake. He manages to free himself using his ability, and Kunikira's ability to manifest a switchblade. He proceeds to show the power of his light snow, an ability that allows him to create illusions. Junichiro uses his ability to outmaneuver all three of the commanders and manages to escape from their clutches. Considering how meek and average Tanizaki looks, it was great to watch him finally have his moment and even get raged up. Well, even though we've finally seen his ability in action, we have another ability that deserves a spot here, and it's from a certain character from Undead Unluck.
感心するよ、アンデッド。
We all thought Billy was a normal old member of the Union and part of the heroes, but that all changed when he revealed his true nature. During a meeting, Billy disagrees with the Union's methods, considering them incapable of defeating God. He then proceeds to shoot at our negators and even takes down Unbreakable. The others intervene and Top rushes in, breaking Billy's neck, only to have Billy heal from the attack. Billy officially ends up betraying the Union, and this results in him having to fight off against the rest of our negators. He was so confident that he actually fought against some of the most powerful beings on Earth. As Andy fights him, he confirms that Billy is in fact using his own ability of regeneration. Not only that, he's also using Top's Unstoppable and even Unjustice. It's revealed that Billy has the ability to copy the abilities of the negators. All things considered here, this power is clearly one of the most broken abilities in the entire anime, making Billy one of the strongest foes the Union would ever face, because how overpowered is it that you could copy abilities that essentially make you superhuman? How can we have a list of legendary showcases of power without including everyone's favorite bald OP gag Saitama? Out of his many iconic moments, here we're mentioning the scene where he effortlessly humbled his disciple, Genos. Saitama and Genos have a sparring match where Genos urges his master to go all out. What follows is one of the best animated scenes in the show so far, exactly what you'd expect with Genos going all out. But even then, Saitama doesn't seem phased. The choreography, the animation, and the top tier sounds were a gorgeous cocktail that we just couldn't get enough of. Genos, frustrated, claims that Saitama isn't going all out, and Saitama humors Genos just a little bit. Saitama throws a punch with a bit more of his power, which invokes a sense of death in Genos. He doesn't hit Genos head on, but the aftershock of the blow alone knocks a giant hole on Earth and makes his disciple finally realize why he's been holding back. It was an absolute show of power that meant that Saitama was way above even the strongest their world or even universe could offer. Moving up the list, we have Hiei releasing the Flame of the Dragon in Yu Yu Hakusho. Now, this is an old anime, but I can assure you, aged like fine wine. The Flame of the Dragon is a powerful technique in which the user summons black flames from the depths of the spirit world and shapes them in the form of a massive dragon. And we got to see the technique in action when Hiei faced off against Zeru, the stand-in leader of Team Roku Yukai during the Dark Tournament. As the two faced off, Zeru initially seemed to be on the winning side, and seeing how strong Zeru was, Hiei unleashed his trump card, releasing the Flame of the Dragon. The power that flowed through Hiei could be seen above and all around the island in pillars. Hiei even himself said that the power is so immense that even he couldn't control it completely. Once unleashed, the Dragon of the Darkness flame devours Zeru, leaving behind only an outline of him on the stadium wall as his body is completely destroyed. You can imagine just how hot those flames had to be, to the point that not even a single bone was left. It was badass and brutal at the same time. In my opinion, this entry here is probably a contender for the most out-of-nowhere plot twist ever, coupled with an awesome display of power. Utsuro coming out as a villain in Gintama was something no one expected, as we'd grown to remember him fondly for just being our main character's beloved teacher who had a tragic ending. But boy, were we in for a ride here. Utsuro displays an astonishing level of power, absolutely crushing Gintoki's main squad. Even after the arrival of Gintoki, Utsuro is shown to be completely unfazed by his sword skills. After his identity is revealed, it sends Gintoki into such a psychological conflict that if it weren't for Kaguya literally stopping his swords with her bare hands, he probably would have died to Utsuro's power. His showcase of master swordsmanship, as well as destroying the main character's narrative, all while showing off his nihilistic beliefs, gives this scene so much power. It destroyed the entire image of the loving Utsuro we'd built, instead giving us a final villain that the series deserved. Of course, we need to talk about the absolute beast himself, Zaraki Kenpachi from Bleach. For this entry, we're going to revisit the time when everyone fell in love with the character, the moment he removed his eye patch. The eye patch itself acts as a limiter to suppress his true strength. During his battle with the protagonist Ichigo Kurosaki, Zaraki realizes the massive potential Ichigo has, and this promotes him to showcase the hidden strength he possesses. As the eye patch comes off, a surge of spiritual energy courses through him, exponentially enhancing his physical abilities and giving him an aura that can give his true power some justice. Zaraki, casting aside all his restraints and fully embracing the abilities within himself, shows off an epic clash with Ichigo. It completely devastates the terrain and leaves the viewers at the edge of their seats, stressing on the outcome. This unleash of inconceivable power immediately turns into a fan favourite moment and is one of the major highlights of arguably the best arc in Bleach. But remember that Zaraki's not done yet. Nearing the top 3 of this list, we have Gon versus Neferpito in a deadly display of power in Hunter x Hunter. At this point in the series, we already know how powerful the Chimera Ants are and that Neferpito is amongst the strongest, considering how the villain even took down Kite, who was known to be a talented hunter. Fast forward a little bit now, with Kite dead and Gon realizing that Neferpito can't heal him, Gon goes into an absolute rage state. Fueled by this anger, Gon formed a Nen contract, pledging to expend all the Nen he would ever possess to defeat Neferpito. This decision caused Gon's body to rapidly transform into that of a robust, powerful adult, radiating a potent Nen aura that caused even Neferpito to feel true fear. Gon then takes the ant to the forest, where he proceeds to put on an unnerving display of power, with each of his hits throwing Neferpito around like a rag doll. Nearing the end of the fight then, even Gon losing his arms doesn't reduce the impact of his power, as Gon proceeds to decimate Neferpito's now headless body. The moment shows how strong Gon would have been had he reached his potential, and is a testament to our protagonist's true strength. What makes a hero turn into a villain? This is the question we'll answer with our next entry being one of the saddest and most rage-filled moments in Naruto. Obito's despair-filled outburst is the moment when his outlook on life changes and he becomes an antagonist. Being presumed dead in the Third Shinobi War, he was saved by Madara, and after months of staying in bed and healing, he was informed that his friends Kakashi and Rin were in trouble. Determined to save his friends from the pursuing enemies, he rushed to the scene, but what he saw plunged him into an abyss he'd never climb out of. He saw Kakashi piercing Rin's heart with the Chidori. This results in him letting out a cry and giving in to his rage. The choreography displaying his wood release along with the graphic stabbing of his enemies was a horrifying display of power. The emotions that went along with this intense moment certainly tugged at everyone's heartstrings, as a kid much like Naruto ended up down the path of a villain. Before we reveal the last entry on this list, we have Gilgamesh vs Berserker from the Fate series. With a large history behind him and his exploits in the series, we already know that Berserker isn't a force to be messed with, because he will crush you. Unless, of course, the person messing with him is an even bigger threat. And here comes Gilgamesh, the half-god, half-human king of heroes wielding the noble phantasm, the gate of Babylon that houses all of his treasures. Gilgamesh puts his power on display as he fights against Berserker, piercing the demigod with his horde of weapons, eventually binding and destroying him. The animation was absolutely stunning, amplifying the gorgeous fight scene coupled with an awesome soundtrack. Although Hercules' strength wasn't anything to scoff at, Gilgamesh proved that he truly was the king of heroes. Deservedly, the battle between the King of Curses and the strongest Shikigami takes the top spot on this list. This is an achievement in itself when you realize the strict working conditions the animators were in, as well as it being only 30% of the supposed outcome. Despite all of that, the fight was hype incarnated. From the build-up of finally seeing the power of Megumi's trump card to the stage being set for Sukuna to freely go all out, this fight had it all. Even the raw animation of them clashing at inhuman speeds, turning Shibuya into ruins and killing thousands of bystanders in the area as if they were ants, was just awesome to see. The entire battle is absolutely astounding as Mahoraga is shown to be an unhinged beast of destruction. But even with all of Mahoraga's power, it's clear that the true monster is Sukuna, who barely puts in any effort while fighting the strongest Shikigami we've seen so far. The calm, collected attitude Sukuna puts on display was a testament to his power before he finally ended it with one of the most aesthetically pleasing techniques you could see on screen. His domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, along with his fire release to obliterate Mahoraga in one fell swoop. This battle had everything, not to mention the most heartbreaking ending sequence of Yuji regaining control of his body and witnessing the sheer destruction Sukuna had caused. His power was truly unfathomable. And with that, we're wrapping up part 3 of the top 20 legendary showcases of power in anime. As always though, do let us know your top showcases of power, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with your friends to see more of this juicy content. See you next time.